You are listening to the Estheticians Earning More podcast with Brittany Hageman, episode number 168. Welcome to the Estheticians Earning More podcast. On this podcast, we talk about how to love your esthetician business without the hustle, exhaustion, or overwhelm as it booms into a successful business. I teach simple ways how to approach your business that gives you your life back while still growing a profitable business. I grew BLH Beauty in San Diego to a six-figure business, and I learned a lot along the way, which I'm excited to share with you here. So let's get started. Do you want to make $100,000 revenue in your esthetician business? If so, I would love to show you how. I want to invite you to coach with me in my one-to-one coaching program. It's completely customizable. The way that it works is we sit down and figure out what you've been doing in your business that hasn't been working, and then make a very specific plan that I help you follow over the course of 6 months to get it done. We meet weekly for 30 minutes and discuss exactly what went well that week and we're going to do next week, whether it's your pricing needs to be raised, or you need to have boundaries with your clients, or if you need to learn how to sell skincare, or you need to niche down and you're doing way too many services and not making money, or all of the above. Whatever the issue is, whatever the reason is you're not making money, we'll figure it out together, and we will grow your business into a really profitable business that's sustainable, that you love, and that really helps people. I cannot wait to be your coach and to work with you. To learn more, go to the link in the show notes. And with that, on with today's episode. I'm so excited. Today, I have a very special guest on the podcast. It is the one, the only, Cecia Ferrin. I worked with Cecia back in 2022, and she was in a group coaching program that I had at the time that I've now turned into my one-on-one program. I've expanded it, made it a lot more in-depth and customized. So she was in that, and we worked together for 3 months. And then she was actually on my podcast before. This is her second time. She's on my podcast in January 2023. We talk about that a little bit in today's episode. And Cecia's story is so incredible because she opened up her esthetician business in 2021. Now we're in September 2024, and she shares what she's on track to hit this year, and it's a multiple six-figure business. And I, as her friend and former coach, I am so unbelievably thrilled by her success. And I use her as a inspiration for my clients. Like, she can do it, you can do it. She talks about how she started her business in 2021, basically in the midst of COVID, had absolutely no clients, no friends, no referrals. She started from zero, and how she built it to now this multiple six-figure business. She's making more money than she ever thought she would make in her aesthetics career. And she's just a ball of fun. She's so much fun, and she has so much wisdom. And if you need like a good kick in the butt, today's episode is for you, because one of the things that she says in this episode is to plan to be disappointed while you're growing your business. And I wrote it down because I was like, that is so amazing. So anyways, I will let her tell you all of the things. Sit down, grab a cup of tea or coffee, or go for a walk and enjoy this episode. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back next week. So I was just listening to our podcast that we did in January 2023. I listened to it yesterday.
Oh, gosh.
I was shocked.
Yeah.
So do you want to hear what we talked about, where you were in your business? Do you remember?
I kind of do. Had I just moved out on my own?
You had just moved out on your own, and you were finally your business was going, it was growing, and you were finally okay, I think I'm going to become an instructor.
Oh gosh, yeah. That's not happening.
And yeah, you were like, I think your goal was 100K
Yeah, that's so cute.
for 2023.
Yeah,
That
I
was your
love
goal.
that. Yeah, that was my goal in 2023. Or was it 2023?
Yeah, it was 2023.
Holy crap, I thought it was 22 for some reason.
We met in 2022. That's when we worked together.
Oh, okay. And then that's right. So we did the podcast. Was it right after our class? Like right after
Yeah.
I finished with
We
you?
ended in October 2022. I had to go back and listen. And we did the podcast in January 2023.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. I kind of remember, but like not really at the same time. I've
It's a big
listened
blur.
to it a couple times, but it's been like a good year probably.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. Yeah, a lot has changed.
Yeah.
We'll get into it, but
We'll get into it.
Changed.
Okay,
Mindset has changed. Business has changed. Yeah. So
which
much.
is so wonderful and exciting. It makes my heart so happy, and I'm not surprised in the slightest.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Introduce yourself. Tell everyone who you are if they don't know, if they live under a rock, if they don't know who you are.
Gosh. Okay, so my name is Cecia Ferrin. I am the owner of CC Skin on Instagram as at CC Skin Studio. And I have been in aesthetics since 2002, so a little over 20 years. Most of my career was definitely like in working for other people for the bulk of my career. And just within the last 3 to 4 years, I ventured out on my own, and I'm a student of Brittany's. So I'm a graduate of her program. And yeah, that's how we met. And that's kind of, I actually attribute a lot of, we'll talk about that later, but like a lot of my success to that training that we did together. That class was so impactful for me, and was a huge turning point, I would say, in where I am today, for sure.
Well, just make me cry.
Seriously.
Oh, my daughter has a career week at her preschool, and my husband went in his pilot uniform, and like the pictures have made me cry of joy. So I'm already very emotional.
You're like, the waterworks are already on.
Yeah, they're already there. So that's really kind. And I'm so grateful that that's been your experience and that you've done so well. Okay, so we're the same age. I think we're 1 year apart. You just turned 40.
I just turned 40 this year, yeah.
Yeah, I turned 40 in February. And so I know.
Welcome.
I know. So you went right out of high school and got your esthetician license.
Yeah.
What was the beginning?
So Arizona, I'm originally from Arizona. They have a program that you can actually take while you're still a high school student. So I know it's like it's more popular now. At the time, 20 plus years ago, it was not like a common program. And it was, I always tell people I wanted to be a hairstylist. Like I tried to get into the cosmetology program because a couple of my friends got in, and I couldn't get in. It was like a lottery thing, and I didn't get in. And so I was like, screw it. I'll just do like aesthetics or something. Like, so it was totally an afterthought just to not have to be. I didn't love high school. I didn't love being there.
Yeah.
I know like every esthetician is like an ex-dancer, ex-cheerleader. Not my story. I was very quiet in high school, very insecure. And I didn't want to be there. And so I did this aesthetics program and left, and honestly didn't really like aesthetics even after that. I was like, whatever, like it's fine. Didn't feel super confident working. So I started working at like makeup counters. I was a Clinique girl for a while, and did some training with them, and actually kind of dominated that for a little bit, which was nice. I worked at a department store who's now, this is like, every time I say this, it makes me feel so old, but it was Robinson's May. They're now like bankrupt and not even like around anymore.
I knew you were going to say it too. I was like, you're going to say Robinson's May.
It's totally Robinson's May. And I'm like, they've been out of business now for like a gazillion years, but that's where I started. And that's where I did the bulk of my, early years for sure. And then after that, I really took like a good long break. My husband had gone back to graduate school, and he moved us around a bit. And so a lot of my career was just in it, out of it, in it, out of it. And then practiced for a while in California. So I was in California for about 7 years, and was practicing kind of like in the Bay Area. So just a suburb of the Bay Area, right, actually really close to Face Reality, to be honest.
Where?
So I was in Pleasanton.
Okay.
Danville, Pleasanton, Dublin, kind of that little region.
And I grew up in Walnut Creek.
Oh, I don't know if I knew that.
Yeah.
Well, no, I knew you were there. I guess I didn't realize you were from that area.
Yeah, I grew up in Walnut Creek. Yeah.
So, in that area, which I don't know if you know, but like Dublin was pretty new, like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of new developments and things like that. And so there was a couple new like Hand and Stones out there. And so that's where I did a lot of my, my work, or my, sorry, I'm going to mute my phone really quick. My clients are buzzing me already this morning. So that was where I practiced for a little while. And then I ended up moving back to Arizona just after COVID. And COVID kind of changed a lot in California. And so obviously, like, we moved, my husband's job went remote, we ended up back in Arizona. And when I got here, I was like, you know what? I don't really have to work. Thankfully, it's not putting like food on my table, but I want to work. And so let me just like choose my own path this time, and not be as passive about it. Like, I was very much a complacent. I liked aesthetics, but I wasn't passionate about it. It was, I was okay at it. It was not like fantastic. I didn't have like raving clients. I was just very much like a solid B student type of esthetician. Like, you know, I was okay. I was fine. I wasn't great at really anything. I was like, I can't say like I was a really good massage, you know, none of that. I just was fine. And so when I came back, I was like, I want to find some passion again. I was kind of having like a little bit, not midlife, but like a quarter life, the end of my quarter life crisis. And I just was like, I got to find passion. I don't think I want to go back to school at this point. It doesn't make sense. So let me just try to make the most out of what I can with aesthetics. And that's what I did. And I started my own business.
Okay, so you also got married really young.
I did. Very
young.
How
old were you when you got married?
So I was 21 when I got married.
You guys were babies.
I know. Yeah, it's the Arizona way. It's the Arizona, Gilbert, Arizona. There's a lot of, which that's like a whole nother like topic. So I actually was LDS for a long time in my life, about 15 years. Yeah, we don't attend anymore. We're not active LDS, but that's a common thing for like Mormons. They get married kind of young because there's, you know, it's kind of the culture. So it's not like a surprising age for people out here, but like outside of here, it's definitely like, whoa, you were 21.
Yeah, that for Mormon culture, that is not young, but
that's about average.
Outside of it, yeah.
You're like an old maid by like 25. They're like,
yeah, no, I know. I had a lot of Mormon friends growing up, and they all got married like we were babies when they got married.
Yeah, we were too. I mean, luckily I still like my husband, and it's worked out great, but you know.
Yeah, and so, okay, and then you also had 3 kids.
I did. So I have a 16-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 7-year-old. So that was a lot of the reason why I went in and out of aesthetics too. So culturally too, like a lot of it is you're very encouraged to like stay home and do all that. And so I did that, and I really loved it. But I found the thing that's interesting is I really excelled at, like, I needed to do something. I wasn't happy just being home, but I was trying to work with what I could. And so I always tell people this funny story of like, I became like a PTO mom. I was like, you know what? I'm going to like kill it at being a PTO mom. And I ran an entire like fun run event. We raised over $60,000. And I was like, I had raised the most that school had raised like ever. And I just killed it. I like designed t-shirts for the fun run. I organized this whole event. And so I think deep down, like I really needed to do something. And so I found ways to like, you know, enjoy motherhood as much as I could when I was not able to work and not able to kind of get fed that social interaction that I kind of needed. So yeah.
Yeah, because when you have little kids, it's lonely.
It's hard.
It's lonely.
It's hard.
Yeah, you don't have the same interaction. Like, I think that was the biggest shock for me as a new mom, was like I lost so much daily interaction with adults. And I knew that, but I didn't really know what that would look like and how that would be. You're just alone all day with a small child.
Yeah. And it's like you don't talk to people all day.
No, and you do a play date for an hour, but you can barely talk to the other mom because the children are running everywhere.
You know, I always say you don't really like knowing a mom through play dates isn't really knowing that mom, because we're so distracted that I'm like, you don't actually know that person. You know that person in mom mode, which is half of their brain is with you and the other half is watching their kid to make sure they're not falling off something or like eating, you know, crap they shouldn't be eating. Like that is, you don't actually know that mom. So I loved, you know, anytime I got away from like the kids and the play dates and got to see moms in their element, I was like, oh, you're like way cooler than I thought you were.
Right. You're a human being.
You're human and you're funny and you're like, eye contact is there. I love it.
Oh yeah. You can like, we can actually carry on a conversation.
I know it's hard. Yeah. And I'm ADD too. So like having to like watch my kids and have a conversation, I'm sure I was just really difficult to be friends with at play dates. They're like,
I mean, and you're also parenting, so it's just like you're trying to get to know someone. You're like, no, I told you can't, no, you cannot do that. And then the child's screaming, and you're having this like very difficult moment with someone you barely know. It's just
100%.
It's a whole thing. It's like you're dealing with your screaming child, and you're like, they're watching. Like, how are you going to deal with this? Are you going to yell at your child? Or, so it's just.
I know. Oh my gosh, that's like the worst, because you're like, I can't do what I would probably normally do, which is like give him the evil eye and like grit your teeth, like stroke it now, because you don't want to look crazy, but at the same time, you're like, I need my child to stop. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I don't miss those days. So I don't have that anymore because my daughter is 7. My youngest is 7. Now I'm like in raising teenagers, which is like a whole nother, like, I don't even know. It's like, it goes from one worry to another, but
yeah, it's a whole different game.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. So you were raising your kids, and your husband also was building his career. I remember that from when we were coaching.
Yeah.
You told me that you were supporting him
Yep.
for him to grow his career at this time, right? Because you guys were so young and everything.
Yeah. So he works in marketing. He works in brand work specifically. And so at the time he had graduated, he did a graduate program in Virginia. So we were in Virginia for a little bit for his graduate program. Never got licensed in Virginia. We were only there for like 2 years, basically, just enough to do like a master's degree. Did that. And then really it was just all about him. I mean, and that was okay. That was, at the end of the day, like he was going to be the more of the breadwinner. And so we wanted to make sure that like we were set. And he was really good at his job and excelled and worked for amazing companies. He worked for Airbnb and was part of that, early days of Airbnb, which was super fantastic for us. But Facebook, he's worked for a lot of really well-known companies. And and then, he got really established in his career, where I wouldn't say he didn't need the support, but it was like, okay, now I can kind of take a second and decide what I want to do. And that was what kind of led me to deciding to open my own business and start really small. That is like the funniest thing of where I started and what my intentions were and what transpired. Because if you asked me in 2022 what I wanted, I was like, I just want to have a little small room. I want to just treat a handful of clients, and I just want to be able to like have a good work-life balance. And here's the thing, I was really good at my job. And when you're really good at your job, your demand goes up. And then you're like, okay, do I tell people no, or do I allow myself to grow? Mm-hmm. And I decided to like lean into growing. And, that was really the best thing that I did, because it paid off for sure. But there's, it's like a complicated emotion, because it's so exciting and I'm so happy for it, but at the same time you miss, like, I don't know, like not having this full books or not having as much to do. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, it'd be nice to be slow. And so when I do get those slow times, I'm like, okay, I'm going to enjoy this, because it's just going to get crazy again in another few weeks. So just enjoy it while I can.
And what you're saying, I think a lot of solo esthetician business owners who are trying to grow their business need to hear, which is this simplicity. It sounds like you're missing the simplicity of it just being you and your clients, and you just kind of do your clients and you go home. And I think that people have this perception, like when you're really booked, your life is so easy. But you just like small children and teenagers, it's just a different type of problems.
Totally.
Like I know I will look when I have a 14-year-old who hopefully will be nice to me, but who knows, I will look back to when she was 4 and be like, man, those were really a lot simpler problems than what I'm dealing with now.
Yeah.
And not to say one is a good way, but they're just different.
That's a really good way to look at it. It is. You just have different problems. It doesn't get easier. It just gets different. It's a different hard, I think is what they say. It's you choose your hard. It's either this one or this one. And either one's going to be hard and have its challenges, but you get to decide kind of which hard you want, I guess.
Yeah. And I think that people think that when they get to make a certain amount of money, the hard goes away. And I see this all the time with clients. They get to that certain money and they're like, this is harder. And I'm like, I know. I know.
I'm just worrying less about like, can I make rent, and more about like, crap, I'm out of inventory. And like, now I've got, all these orders. Like right now for me, it's like, okay, I usually have like a ton of inventory. I just did like a quick 24-hour sale. And then like literally like the orders rolled in, which I'm so grateful for. But then I'm like, I never account for enough. And so now I'm like, oh, I've got like, 30 plus sitting in my queue and I'm still waiting for Hydrobalance, like to refill all those orders. And so, yeah, it's different. It's different challenges, but I think you get to decide too, right? You can decide to slow down and to like, not close your books, but I did that for a while before I decided to hire someone. We can talk about that.
Yeah.
I really did. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to close my books, because even if I have a little gap in my schedule, that's okay. I'm okay with a gap, because I'm going to savor that gap. And, I'm going to have time to take a quick breath in between clients and not feel so rushed and back to back. And so I did that. I closed my books, and I would do that occasionally. And when I say close my books, I would just say, I'm currently on a wait list. And so people would just get on my wait list. And as cancellations happen, I would fill with that wait list. But then, I kind of went into like a different season, and my thinking changes. And that's the thing I think to keep in mind too, is like, you can change how you feel about your business or what direction you want to go. And that's okay. Your desire for the growth can change. And, like you said, just like our last talk, I wanted to go teach. Like, I have zero desire to teach at all, to coach, to mentor. That desire is so gone. And we can talk about why, but like,
we'll get there.
You can change your mind and change paths, and that's okay.
Okay. And I'm so glad that you say that, because I think that isn't talked about enough. And I changed paths in my esthetician journey. And if you would have asked me when I first became an esthetician, I would have been like, I never owned my own business. That was a hard no for me. That was like hard no. And I was like, I'm never going to teach estheticians. Like, that seems like crazy. And then I was like, I'm never going to have my own product line. And I think that's going to be in a private label in the next couple of years. So like, we can just keep changing our mind, and that's okay.
Yep.
So you came back to Gilbert, Arizona, and from what I remember, you had a friend who did acne who told you about acne.
Yeah. So I had a really good friend who's now actually an ambassador. Just now this year became an ambassador. It's Chelsea Wolfley. She's located in El Paso. So I came back and I was like, what do I want to do? Like, how do I want to structure the business? And she was like, do acne. It's a really good way to drum up business. You'll get business. Acne is a constant need. It's not really a luxury for people. It's a need-based service. And just see how you like it. And so I did that, and she recommended Face Reality. So I got certified with them. And
what year is this? Sorry. Where in the timeline? What year was this?
This was 2022.
Okay. It's like early 2022?
Maybe 2021, actually. Okay. It might have been 2021. Yeah, 2021, I think. End of 2021. And because I moved here in 2020, and then November 2020, and then so 2021 would have been when I got certified. And then I just started taking like a bunch of other classes locally, just to kind of refresh myself. So I took some classes with SkinScript, which plug for them. They have really good education, and you can go to like their 3-day classes. And that education team is stellar. You learn not just product-based training, you really learn like fundamentals of skin health and disease and how to, disorders. And you just learn, you kind of go back to school for a second. It's a great program. So did that, got certified. And then I, again, went back to like, I just want to work a couple days a week. And so I met a girl in a SkinScript class, actually. And she was a cosmetologist who was wanting to get into skin, and she was a microblade artist. And so she's like, hey, I actually have a room. Do you want to split? Like, you can rent for me a couple days. And she was a mom about my age, really sweet and normal. And we got along really well. And I was like, yeah, maybe. It ended up being like right down the road from my house. And so I did that. I just rented from her 2 days a week, and paid like almost nothing, and just rented from her. Started doing that. And then it quickly just got busy.
Okay, so let's talk about how it got. So what did you do? Did you have any clients when you first started renting with
None.
them?
I know I say I'm from Arizona, but I had been out of Arizona for over 12 years at that point. Nobody. Yeah. All my friends were like moved around. I didn't really have connections. I had family, and that was it. Y'all know how reliable family is clients, aka not.
So much. I just really want to tell that to like people listening is
And I'm so glad that you're saying this because I see this so often with my clients where they're like, I have this, I know someone who they basically think that their contacts or contacts they make will grow their business for them. Like I go to this Pilates studio and there's a bunch of women and I've talked to the owner and like I've talked to people there, but no one's coming to my business. Like they're not going to build your business for you. Or like my friend is a hairstylist and she's not giving out enough of my cards. And I'm like, I know she's not going to grow your business for you. Like you have to do it.
You are your mark. Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you did, but can you talk about what you did?
Yeah, so I joke about this. I save a lot of my old original content and it's still there. So feel free to go back and look because it's a fun journey to see how I tried and where I ended up. And, you know, maybe in 5 years, I'll like laugh about where I'm at now. And
Sure.
It's not laughable. I'm super proud of what I did in the beginning, but I got on Instagram and I was like, I came back and I was like, whoa, everyone's on Instagram. Like that's not what happened when I was practicing, but like, okay. And I just started pumping out content, tons of content.
You did 3 reels a day.
I did 3 days. Yeah, I did 90 days of 3 reels a day, which was like a challenge from like a random person that I found online. And it worked, I would say. It's a slow, reels are a funny thing. People think you just have, like once you get one really viral thing, it sticks. No. That's not how it works. You will get hundreds of thousands on one and you'll get 500 on the next. And that is just the nature of it. It's a long game. It's not something that once you get, notice that it stays that way. Like that's and I don't know that anyone understands like the algorithm fully. But yeah, I just started doing reels. I started doing content and reels and I would just do them constantly. I didn't have clients. So this is actually my biggest piece of advice to people who are starting out. If you don't have clients and you're not in the treatment room, you still have work to do. I built my website. So the Shopify that I have today is now redone and I paid to have someone redo it and make it all pretty. But I sat in a coffee shop for like 2 weeks and I built my Shopify. I figured out how to do it myself. I get people all the time and they're like, oh, well, how did you do it? And I'm like, Shopify. They're like, can you tell me? I'm like, absolutely not. I don't even know what I did. I figured it out over 2 weeks. Like, I don't know. It just,
I don't know.
And it worked. And then I paid a lot of money for someone else to do it, or to make it pretty and make it more functional, work on the SEO and all that. But that's what I did when I didn't have clients. I was making content. I was working on my website religiously because I wanted e-commerce to be a big part of my business. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to make sure that I had those things set up. Mm-hmm. So that's what I did. And I also focused the majority of my content on my niche. And so anything that I made and anything that I still make always goes back to acne. Mm-hmm. Because that is my target audience is an acne sufferer. And so anything that I make is pretty much going to involve acne in my messaging.
And one of the things, so we started working together. So you were one of my clients in the group coaching program I had at the time called Confident Acne Specialist. And so basically for the listener, I've turned that group coaching program into my now one-to-one coaching program. So it's basically the same thing. It's just over more time and a little bit more attention. But I remember in that group, everyone in the group started following each other and everyone's like, Cecia has so much, like, you're so good at Instagram. Like everyone couldn't believe how good you were at it. And I remember I knew what your mentality was around it, but I remember being like, can you tell them like how you approach it? So can you tell the listeners like how you, when in those early days, you had no clients, you had no money coming in, you didn't know how to do acne. I remember that's why you signed up to work with me. So to build your confidence about doing acne, you didn't really know what you were doing. So how did you go and do posts that no one was watching?
Yeah. So I did a lot. I'm big on education. So I like to take classes. So I would just go through old material and I would find inspiration through that. I would go and that's changed now how I make my content.
Sure.
For the most part back then, something that you said, actually, I think that was really important is you're like, don't overcomplicate it. It doesn't need to be this like super involved piece of content. It can be as easy of, and right now I do something called skin tips, and the skin tips are really basic. They're not super complicated, but they're the most popular things, and the most, I would say the most impactful thing that brings clients in is they'll see those skin tips and they're like, oh, who's this girl? She like gives all these little tips. You know, I like always joke, like I made a whole series of like tips and like a little video once about like using a cotton pad for with your toner instead of a cotton round. Like that's how simple it can be. We don't need to make it like this complicated thing. And so I would just find things that like, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I don't know if anybody else finds it interesting, but like, I'm going to make content on it. And so I would do that. I did funny things originally. So I, you know, would make jokes. And I would say in the beginning, some of the things that I did, I wouldn't do now. Like some of them were kind of not making fun of clients, but like poking fun at like treatment room things. I don't recommend doing those things now. I try really hard to like, you know, make jokes, but have them be really lighthearted and not directed at the client. You don't want the client to feel offended or anything by your content either. Because I do see some of that out there. But yeah, I would just find really basic things to talk about in content.
But how did you get over the mental blocks, or did you even have the mental blocks that people have? Like people basically are afraid of doing the work and then being so disappointed that they get no views, no engagement.
Just plan to be disappointed. Plan to be,
thank you.
Honestly, you're going to be disappointed. You are. But here's the thing, like nothing worthwhile is a quick fix or a quick instant gratification. Nothing about Instagram is quick like gratification. It just isn't. And if you think that it is, you're not, your headspace isn't right. Just go into it and know that you're not going to get a bunch of views. You're not going to get a bunch of comments. You're not going to get a bunch of likes, but it's a long game. You have to continue doing it until that like traction picks up, but it won't for a while. You could do it for a solid year and it won't for a while, but like the people who do well at it are the people that stick with it and then just keep pumping it out over and over and over again. And don't get in your head about it. Like, who cares if you feel dumb doing something? Like, obviously do it to your comfort level. I can comfortably say I've never danced for Instagram. I have teenagers that I have to also think about like my public persona and like what people are seeing. And the last thing that I want is for my 16-year-old to like go to school and get made fun of because like, and here's the thing, I'm on a lot of For You pages for teens because it's acne. And so like, I never want my kids to be embarrassed of anything that I put out. So I try not to do anything that's like too suggestive or too 40-year-old woman. Like, listen, I know my place.
You want to be comfortable with what you do.
Yeah. You want to be comfortable and be able to look back and be proud of, what you've put out and feel confident in that. And so, but you're going to, the mouthing of, what is it called? Like the ab-libbing or what, not ab-libbing, what's the word? When you're like
lip syncing.
Thank you. To things, you can do those, and sometimes you feel silly, but like go back. I look so uncomfortable in like so many of mine originally, and it just is what it is. That's Instagram. You're not going to feel comfortable. You're not until I'm to the point where I just don't care, and so I'll do it. Like I don't care anymore. I'm like, whatever. Yeah, I look silly, but like I don't care. But I did originally, and it was full of letdown and full of feeling like my stuff was never going to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm. And I remember in the group, you would say that, and everyone's like, yeah, but then how do you keep going? And you're like, because it's the only option. What else are you gonna do?
You gonna go get out flyers? Like, I'm sorry, but that, like, sure, go do that. But like, what's the other option? And it's free.
It's free.
It's free marketing.
It's free. Yeah. It doesn't even take that much time either.
It doesn't. And that's an interesting thing. So I have found, and anybody who has done Instagram for a long time will tell you this: the content that you make that takes the longest, just expect it to do nothing.
The worst.
The best, the most popular things or the most viewed, shared content that I've done have been the things that I just spur of the moment, spit it out in 15 minutes, put it in a Canva in 15 minutes, and all of a sudden has like, 900 shares or something. And I'm like, really? Like, that was so dumb. But
Yeah.
like, that's the reality of it. And so the longer you spend, I don't know how Instagram knows. It like knows. It seriously knows when you spend extra time on something. It's like, oh, you spent 2 hours on that, cute. So we're not going to have that go anywhere. So thanks for that time that's now wasted. But it's not wasted. So that's the thing too, is some things will do well later. Like sometimes
Yes.
I have like posts that I'll get like a bunch of reshares. I'm like, what? This is like from a year ago. So
Yeah.
don't erase stuff if it does bad. Just let it sit there, unless it's like bad information.
Yes.
Then go ahead and erase it. If you like, you know, you change and you're like, oh, that was not right, then delete it. But like, you know, if there's a mistake somewhere in there and but it has some views, or you're like, it could do well, just leave it. Don't mess with it.
I just did a reel that was on September 1st. All estheticians are saying peel season, but on September 1st didn't get to the, like, Instagram sometimes like will not put your, you know what I'm talking about, the text goes away.
The text thing, it like decides when to do it too. It's very like sporadic. It'll start being finished.
Gone. The text is gone, but it already got so much engagement. So I was like,
leave it.
I'm just going to leave it.
Yep.
It's gotten shared so many times. The reel doesn't make any sense. The reel doesn't make any sense, but it's getting shared every day. And I'm like, it looks terrible. It makes no sense.
Can I give you a tip on what to do for that? Because when the text thing happens, what I do is I do the text and then I save the video with the text on it.
Okay.
And then I go back and post that video that already has the text in there. Does that make sense? So like before you post it, so create it with your text in the picture, right? Okay. The text, but save the video.
Yes, this is what I need to do, because it happened like back to back, and I was like, I don't have time to redo it. Like, again, I have 5 minutes. Like most of my reels I do 5 minutes. I have 5 minutes. And I'm done. I don't have time to redo it. And like I have to go pick up my daughter or whatever. Okay.
Save it. So save it first. And so that way, if it does post without it, you can immediately delete it and then just reload with the other one. Cause that's the thing, it'll keep doing it. Like if your text is disappearing, it's like a glitch, but it'll keep happening. It'll probably happen for like a solid week. And then all of a sudden it doesn't happen. And then you're like, okay, it's fine. But I get into the habit of just saving it just in case, because once it's posted, you can't go back and save the video, but so preemptively save it so that it does it. Yeah. Okay. Learn that the hard way.
That's a star tip for those of you. And I think one of the things that the takeaway I want to keep going with your story, but I think the big takeaway from, and I remember feeling this the time when I first met you, and obviously I've been, watching you and, so excited to see you grow, is that you just aren't willing to let something not, like, if it doesn't work, you're just going to keep going. You're not like, oh, that didn't work. Oh, well, I'm not going to try anymore.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've had pitfalls and things go wrong. I mean, major things where like was really frustrating. And I felt like, I'll talk about one specifically. Yeah. So I had brought on a line, which I don't know if I should like name them or not, but I worked so hard for this. Like I really believed in this product, truly believed in the product, tried it myself. And I was like sold. I was like, this is amazing. It worked. What I thought was going to be great for acne, it was going to be amazing. I truly, truly, truly was like amazed by it. The problem is this product had a lag on when shiz started to hit the fan. It would like look great and do great for about 4 weeks. And then when you hit the 4-week mark, it would blow up. It was breaking people out. It was causing absolute chaos. And what was really frustrating is I had actually had, and I've never really talked about this super publicly, and I'm happy to now, but I had like exchanged text with the creator of this product, with this doctor who had created this. And I had asked him very specific questions about how it was going to be utilized, because I wanted to make sure that it was utilized properly. And so I introduced it with that guidance that he specifically gave me. Well, a bunch of other estheticians started having issues with it and started pulling it. And then like they started backtracking. And I remember even questioning my rep, and I was like, hey, this, like, I'm understanding that he's saying to use it this way, but like, it doesn't make sense. She's like, just throw it into the regimen. It's fine. Just throw it in. It's fine. It'll work. And I'm like, but doesn't really make sense the way he's explaining it to do. She's like, it's fine. Just throw it in. It doesn't matter what they're using with it. Come to find out, it absolutely matters what they use with it. Of course it does, because if you do these things, you actually make the product no longer functional. You actually create this like monster product that's just feeding oil into the skin. So I had lost thousands of dollars. I was so mad, and I felt like my integrity was questioned, and I did not want my clients to think I was selling them something. And here's the thing, I'm in the business of clearing acne. I'm not in the business of giving people acne.
Right.
So I very quickly was like, sent out a message to all my clients, which estheticians got upset with that were carrying it. I'm like, listen, my page, my audience. I'm sorry you follow me. If your clients follow me, that's not my problem.
Sure.
My loyalty, my transparency, I owe that to my clients. And so I just said, hey, if you purchase this from me, email me. I'm giving out refunds. Please do not use the product. I had sent about $700 worth of it to a client in Singapore who was getting married like 2 months later. And I was like, don't even use it. Throw it out. And she's like, are you sure? And I'm like, I'm absolutely sure. Please do not use that product. She was a cleared client, but I was just not willing to take that risk, obviously. So you have pitfalls. Like, pitfalls exist. You're going to make mistakes. You're not going to be perfect at this. But I just was like, yeah, that sucks. But like, we're moving on.
Yeah.
We're moving on.
You're not willing to let it define you as a person. It wasn't like, well, now no one will ever trust me again, so I'm just giving up.
I didn't lose a single client from that.
No, because you were trans. I mean, you convinced me. I almost bought one from you.
Yes, we talked about it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm gonna wait. I'm like, I'm gonna wait a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Literally, like the next week, you're like, you know.
Yeah, I'm moving myself really quickly. My husband's trying to get on a call. No, you're good.
No worries.
Yeah, I was like, nope, don't do it. Don't buy it from anyone. Just ignore everything I said.
I think one of the things that I'm trying to convey to the listener is that you again went back to, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure out what's right. I'm not going to let this really horrible, crazy situation stop me. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to make what's right, give people their money back, take the hit financially, but I'm not going to never bring another product on again. I'm not going to sell products again. It didn't stop you. And I think that quality, I think you're also phenomenal esthetician. I think you're also a phenomenal person people love to be around you. But more than anything, that quality that you have is one of the reasons you're so successful.
I mean, resilient, sure, I guess. I think it depends on life, what your life experience is, probably age. I think too, at this point at 40, I've had a lot of stuff go wrong in my life, and you just figure out how to bounce back. And so, do you record this? I feel so bad. I'm walking around.
I'm recording it, but I don't have to show the video.
I was I'm walking around.
It also just shows real life. It's fine.
It does, yeah. I'm home. My husband went into the office, and he gets on calls, and he's really loud. And so I'm like, okay, we're moving. Yeah. So, life is complicated. And I think that I'm not a person who, I don't like to fall down and then, stay there. It's not a comfortable place for me. I'm like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. We're getting up, and we're moving on. What else am I going to do? Sit and wallow and feel awful? I still have a commitment to clients. Mm-hmm. I didn't sell that to every client. So there's still clients that I have a commitment to. Yeah. So I'm going to, I really just spent 2 days talking about it, and then I moved on, and that was it. And I got some backlash. That was the unfortunate part, is I got backlash. It was in some, larger Facebook groups or whatever, where people were talking about it. And I finally, it was weird seeing my name come up in Facebook groups, large Facebook esthetician groups. And I just finally went on there, and I was like, listen, I'm sorry if anybody was offended, but I just want to remind you guys that like my Instagram is for my clients. Like I market to my clients. Other estheticians aren't my concern. Their businesses aren't my concern. My concern is the people who are my direct, influence, and that is my clients. And so that was who my messaging was for. I'm sorry you didn't like it, but you don't have to read it. You don't have to consider it. I don't know. Like I don't know.
You don't have to be here. You can go there's millions of places you can be online. You don't have to be here.
I feel like what's the Bachelorette saying? Like, I'm not here to make friends. I feel like the esthetician who's like, I'm not here to make friends. But it's true. Like at the end of the day, yes, I want to be like, I want to have friends in the industry, but not at the cost of my business. Like my business is number one. That is my baby. That's what I'm going to take care of first.
Totally.
So
so you started marketing. You're doing the 3 posts. I know I have a lot of my clients, I challenge to do 10 reels a week, and they act like I'm saying 500 reels a week. It's like, I can't do that. I'm like, I do that most weeks. Like you can do it. Like
you can do it.
It's not as hard as you're making it in your head.
Well, I think again, you're overthinking it.
Exactly.
You're overthinking it. You don't have to show your face in every single one.
Nope.
Like, if you don't know Canva, get to know Canva. There's good videos that you can download that you can put text over. Get creative. What I have a hard time with, and this is going to be like the tough love, but this is how I treat my mentors that I had before. I'm like, listen, part of learning this is getting stuck and figuring it out. Yeah. You can't be hand-fed everything. No. You can't. You're not going to learn. That's not the people who are most successful are not hand-fed these things. They figure it out. They spend the time. And so you have to be resourceful, figure it out. Like Google's free. You can Google things. You can, I don't have, not that I don't have patience, but I do get frustrated when it's a lot of like, well, that's too hard. Or, well, I'm like, yeah, it is. It is hard.
It's hard.
Yeah. I acknowledge it is hard, but like, what are you going to do?
You're going to choose your hard.
Yeah.
I've actually had this conversation with many clients over the years, which is there's 2 different hearts. You can have your business, which means you are marketing, you're putting yourself out there, you're talking to people about your business, and it's not working in the way that you want it to work. And you're having that frustration every single day and slowly growing your business. Or you can have the heart of working for someone, making very little money, not really, not what you want. You don't want to do that, which is why you opened a business. So if you don't want to do the business, it's fine. Like be just a regular, there's plenty of people who are hiring estheticians.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's going to be hard either way. So you just got to choose your hard.
Yep.
Choose your hard.
I think that's the theme. Yeah. Hard. It's all hard.
Okay. So when we met, it was October 20, the only reason I know these dates, I just listened, I would not have remembered. October 2022. And by the end of our time, I think during our time, you went out and signed a lease for your own place.
I did.
And then January, so 2023 was a massive year for your business. So you became the Face Reality Ambassador, right, in 2023, right?
I did.
And do you remember do you mind talking about numbers? Is that
Nope, not at all.
So do you remember how much you made in your business in 2022?
2022. So I started, what should I make? It wasn't 100. It was like probably 60.
It's in my, I could go back and look in our messages.
I want to say it was like 58 or 60 or something.
Yeah, that sounds right.
It was definitely under 100. And then I was like, okay, next year I'm going to try to hit 100.
100. Okay, I now need to find it. Yeah, it was like, I want to say it was around 60. Okay, so that was your goal.
That was my goal the first year. Yeah.
And now I have to find it. Okay, hold on. I can edit this part out. I'm trying to find it. Oh my gosh. Where is it? What is this? Where are we? What are we talking about? November. Okay, it was before November of last year. So I remember it was like less than the year. Obviously you did it in less than a year.
Yeah, it was just less than a year.
No, I need to find it. I remember you sent it to me. Oh, here we go. Okay, so this you sent me on September 22nd, 2023. You said, okay, you told me I hit 100K by September, I didn't even think I'd hit it by September, but I've steadily started doing 10K the last 4 months, and I know it will happen. You sent me, it was 89,324.
Oh, okay. In September, I was at 89. Okay.
And then did you send me your actual rest
I
of
think
the
I finished at like one. What did I finish at? Gosh, this is like crazy. I want to say it was like one. Maybe it was just over 100. I'm getting my years mixed up.
Can
I
we
don't know.
see?
You probably can tell me more than I can.
You sent me November. We were talking about Taylor Swift.
A common theme of our conversations.
Oh, I don't think you did.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look. I know I hit 100. I just can't remember. I was over 100, but I don't remember
Yes,
how much over 100 it was.
After this call, tell me. So
I will. I'll look and see what it was.
You hit over 100.
I did. I ended up hitting over 100, which was my initial goal. And I think to me, like, I was like, when I hit 100, I can move out. And like, if I hit 100, I can move out and be in like my own space. And so was it October or November? I was in my new place at that point.
Okay, so November 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so a year after you went out on your own from sharing, you were in another space.
Right. So then I moved, and so a big part of the reason why is retail became such a big part of my business. And most acne experts, I would say, agree with that, because you just are like churning retail regularly, more than like your average esthetician for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't have space to like put my stuff. I was like bringing this like box with like a handle with like stuff. So I'd look at my schedule and be like, how many clients? Okay, if they need to restock, like I would just, it was crazy, because there was no retail shelves. I was in 92 square feet. We shared.
Oh,
itty bitty. Like it was a Harry Potter closet we were working in. Yeah. And so I had one shelf that I would put, I could fit like 2 to 3 of each product, and I couldn't even fit everything on that shelf. So I moved into my own place, and I moved up to, I want to say like 96 square feet of my own.
Just a little more space.
Well, Arizona, it's a little pricey. So even then it was like just over $1,000 a month for that much space. And so I was in there, and it's like all a blur, but yeah, I just kept doing. So I got the ambassadorship with Face Reality, which I was so surprised by, because I was a small account. I don't think I had 1,000 followers at that point. I maybe had like 500 or something like that. But I was very persistent. I was tagging like crazy the business, doing all those things. And so I got that ambassadorship. And then I was like, I really like teaching. So I told them like, hey, any teaching opportunity you have, I'm happy to do it. So I taught in New York. I taught in Vegas. And so I did both of those shows, taught a bunch of classes. And I would say the like audience grew in that sense, but it was mostly estheticians, right? Whether as new acne experts or whatever. But it helped to grow the numbers and to share more content, which was nice. And then it just blew up. I mean, it got busier and busier and busier. And I just kept doing all the same things. Like, I wouldn't say like my tactics changed or anything. I just kept pushing out. I was doing less reels at that point. Like I was trying to do at least like a few reels a week, but I wasn't doing, every day a reel necessarily. But I was pretty much trying to put out some form of content. So if it wasn't a reel, it was a before and after, or it was a graphic, or it was something. So I was probably still at that point posting every day.
Or on stories. You're always on stories.
I'm always on stories. Yeah. So if it wasn't that, it was reposting old stuff in stories or talking on stories. At that point, I wasn't doing any like get ready or unready with me kind of things. I wasn't comfortable doing it at that point.
Right.
And also my life's just chaotic. I don't have time to sit and do that. So those are really like time consuming. They're just, I'm like, my daughter's walking in, and I don't really show my family on Instagram. And so my daughter's walking behind me, and I'm like, okay, I can't shoot that, because she's like, no shirt on, she's trying to get in the shower, so I'm like, obviously can't show those things. So yeah, I was just posting still content, whatever form of content. Stories was big. So talking in stories at that point, I wasn't really even selling in stories. I was just kind of talking in stories, talking about products, but not selling at that point. Really, I hadn't started doing a ton of that.
And I think one of the things that you do is that you feel like you're having a conversation with you when I'm on your stories. I feel like you and I are talking.
Yeah.
You know, it's really like you're just chatting with me
It's
about
natural.
whatever.
Yeah. I don't really like to feel too, it has to be natural. I don't do the other. I can't do anything else but just like, and usually I call them like the chaotic get ready with me. I'm like, hey, chaotic get ready because like my life is chaos and this isn't going to make a lot of sense and I haven't thought this through. So we're going with it though, and I'm not going to edit anything. It's raw. You get what you get. Yeah.
Okay, and so also in 2023, you started a podcast.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I started a podcast. Yeah, I'm like, it's a blur.
Yeah, I'll remember everything for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, so started a podcast called The Professionals with Allie and Kara. Both of them are estheticians. So We Love Acne and North County Skin Solutions. And I got to know them at like an ambassador event and we just clicked. They were so easy to get along with, very down to earth. Both of them are super down to earth. And we got along really well. And Allie was like, hey, do you want to do a podcast? And I'm like, I will be in the podcast, but I have no time to spare. So like, if you want to do it, you have to do the editing and all of that, and I'll promote. But I just was like, I'm like a third wheel, guys. I'm just telling you right now, I'm not going to be able to do a lot. And they were like, that's fine. And so they let me come on with them. And it's been fun. We're on hiatus. We're actually doing our first episode this Sunday. Like we're starting and we're trying to schedule out, which I need to talk to you about that after this. But yeah, we are back and we just needed to take the summer off. We were just like tired and busy.
Podcast is a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. Yeah. We usually try to do 4 episodes in like one sitting.
Oh, that's a lot.
And we keep them pretty short. We usually do like 30-minute episodes, but that's what works for us. And so
Okay, so you guys started the podcast, and so then you became more well-known in the acne community, esthetician community. And so then I know you were looking at getting another location. You got another location for your business.
So I'm still in the same building. I just got a larger location. So I ended up moving into one of the larger rooms in the front of my building. So when you walk in, there's like 40 rooms. I'm in the very front and I kind of take up the front space completely.
Okay.
And so I moved into that space, a lot more expensive, literally like way more than I want, but I am looking for like office space right now because I did hire someone. So I'm looking for a couple rooms, but I didn't want to be in the same location. It's so expensive to be in suites that are just renting 2 suites is like more than I pay for my like brand new house. No way. So, but that's just, I'm just slowly, I'm not rushing that because right now it works with what we have going, but ideally that's what we want.
So you hired someone early this year.
I did. Yeah, she was training with me for a while. So she was actually one of my acne clients who was an esthetician.
Okay.
So she was with me in early 2023, came to me as an esthetician and with no intention of ever working with me. Like I, at that point was like, I'm never hiring anybody. I'm just going to be on my own. All-star client, cleared beautifully. She had been on like tons of topicals and had done the dermatology route and cleared really well with me. And so she just stayed as an active client for, a maintenance client, always buying product, all the things. And then I got to the point where I was getting ready to hire and I did have her in mind because I know she wanted to get into aesthetics and she had asked me like, where should I apply? And I was like, go to chains because she hadn't really worked. That was the thing. She was a fresh SD. And so I was like, just go to a chain and get whatever experience you can. She was applying, wasn't really getting back, at the time there, not a lot of places were hiring. So when I started hiring, I was like, you know what, I am going to hire, but I didn't want to just hire her. I wanted to pool and I didn't know who else was out there. So I set out for 2 days. I talked about it on Instagram. I got 27 applications, 27.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, okay, number one, I don't have time to interview 27 people. And so I really had to go through and just go with my gut and interview the people that I felt like were a good fit. And I just want to point this out too. I didn't want somebody who had a lot of experience. Very much wanted somebody that was fresh. The reason for that is I didn't want somebody coming in with like a bunch of weird views of acne. And so I was like, I actually want a fresh SD. I would rather mold them, have them come in and teach them, fresh. And so interviewed probably 11 people from that pool. Really loved 3 of them. But like my gut was like, Lizzie's amazing. Like she has the heart for it. She gets this. She's been an acne client. It felt right, but I was hesitant because I didn't really want to hire somebody I knew for a little bit of fear. We still at that point were very much like a client relationship. My clients are my friends, but they're not my friends, right?
Yes.
Like I keep that pretty clear, that clear boundary. But I just didn't know. I was like, I don't know her outside of like the client. So like, hopefully it works out. Anyway, long story short, she's amazing. She's been amazing. She is really good at what she does and has been such a great asset for me. So gut was telling me the right thing, and she was great. So
because you're not working the treatment room as much as you were now.
I'm only in 2 days a week.
Yeah. So she's in there. Is she there full time?
She's in there. So I'm pretty flex with her. I'm a great boss, by the way. I just tell her, listen, like, as long as we don't have a huge wait list of people, be in there as much as you want. I'm not in there these 2 days. Like, you can be a big girl and schedule yourself.
Yeah.
To your liking. She's super trustworthy. So here's the thing is like, I know she cares so much and she, goes above and beyond all the time. So like, she's there Monday, Wednesday, and then we use Friday as like a flex day. So like, if I have an overflow of clients, sometimes I'll take one on a Friday. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes she's like, hey, I really want to take extra clients. Can I take them on Friday? I'm like, yep, take the full day. And then I work one Saturday a month, and she will work however many Saturdays outside of that. But I let her really manage it based on what she wants to do. So the availability is usually open for that. But she can manage her own schedule that way.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And some of my clients have, like, if they can't get in with me, they'll see her and have rescheduled with her, which is actually really nice.
That's wonderful.
Yep. That's the goal.
Yeah.
So not the goal, but like, it's nice that they trust her and feel the same level of care. So
yeah. It's the goal that they aren't like, oh, if it's not you, it's no one.
Right. And some of them are still that way, and that's okay. But like, I don't expect everyone to be like comfortable with that. But she's really great. She literally same thing. I mean, it was interesting when I trained her for like 2 weeks. She just came in and I took a ton of clients those 2 weeks to really get her fully trained. And she went out on her own and literally like will never ask questions. And sometimes that scared me in the beginning. Yeah. But I would go back and look, because I would look at her soap notes and her photos and what she would prescribe to people, on point every time, literally all the things I would do. She just retains, she has good instinct for skin. Like, she understands skin really well. And I sent her to a ton of training. So like, as an employer, for me, I really wanted her to feel super empowered. And so I've sent her and spent a lot of money on sending her to get dermaplane trained. And I didn't want to do that for her because I wanted her to have a certificate for these things. So, the reality, she probably won't stay with me forever. I wanted her to be able to go do her own thing later and feel like she got something out of the experience. So sent her to go do like all the skin script training that I did. Microneedling training, really good training, not just like a crazy rep coming in and pretending like they're training you and talking on their phone the entire time. So, but because I want her to be really well.
Yeah. Okay. So she's been with you, and then you have been doing a lot of virtual, right?
I do a ton of virtuals. Yeah.
That's a big part of so tell me about kind of your business model now. So I know that you're doing virtual, you sell on your stories a lot now with your online shop. So what are your numbers like today?
So we'll probably finish this year around probably 400 this year.
400,000.
Yeah.
Your business will quadruple.
Literally. Yeah. I know that's like crazy to say that, but yeah. And it's interesting because the website does a little bit more than we do. So we'll usually do like right under 40 each month. Sometimes, I mean, it depends. Every month is slightly different, but between 30 and 40 is typical for us.
For services?
Total. So
total.
Yeah,
in the
total.
Okay.
Yeah. So the website will typically do more than us pretty regularly.
Yeah.
It'll just, because at that point, and this is something I learned from you too. That's why I talk about this. Like, Brittany, I'm not just like tooting your horn here. I'm like, so much of what you taught me, I really did implement. I remember like vividly you saying like, here's the thing, guys, it's a great business model. Clear them, get them out. They're retail clients. That is like the unsung hero here. Like, that is the key.
Yeah. Yes.
Because that website, yes, I'm selling on stories, but it's not like I'm selling a ton of like yes, when I get on stories, I can always guarantee that at least one order will come in for
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
But the reality is most of that is just prior clients that are clear, that are re-upping.
Yep.
I have a subscription option on my website too. So like people can subscribe to their cleanser or anything. And so subscriptions are coming through regularly. And so I don't want to work more.
Yeah.
So the website is the key, and e-commerce is the key to that.
Yes.
So if I can get more people clear, get them on their products and they're re-upping. And at the end of the day, like, yes, this sounds like I'm a salesperson and like I just want to sell people things, but I'm saving them money.
Yes,
if
you
they
are.
can be clear and maintain on products alone, they don't have to come see me every month.
Yes.
In fact, I tell people, if I'm doing my job right, you don't have to come to me every month. You come for maintenance appointments, maybe every couple months, every few months, but you'll stay pretty dang clear on your own. And so when I talk about this, I want that reference to be there. It's not because I don't want to work or I don't want, it saves them money in the long run.
Yes. And I have not been in the treatment room now for almost 5 years. And I still get orders almost every day.
Yep.
My clients I cleared 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yep.
Because it's easy. They go on my website, they buy it, and I just drop ship now from Face Reality because why have inventory when I can just drop ship?
Yeah.
Go to Face Reality, drop ship, I'm done.
Yep.
I didn't even have to hold product. I don't have to like get out my scale and weigh, do all the things. And so your sales mix, it sounds like, is like 25% services and 75% products.
Probably no, it's probably more like a 60-40 split, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
60%.
I would love if it was 25% services.
So.
We're not there yet, but every month it becomes more and more like that. So like, for instance, I did a 24-hour deal and we did just over 10,000 in one day. Like it's not impossible to do a lot. Like, I don't know. It's just, but also part of that is having a good website that's easy to shop. And I spent the money to do that. I spent a chunk of change to really optimize that website. And so that's been really helpful too.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, this didn't happen overnight. This was something that you slowly built.
Yes.
Slowly figured out. And probably so much trial and error.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't like, oh, I'll just do this and then here the money is. It is the amount of starting something and not working and then having to figure out something the way around it and around that and just keep not letting all these obstacles stop you. Yeah.
I think that goes back to like, you have to get up and just do it again and do it differently if it doesn't work the first time. Because the reality is a lot of times it doesn't work the first time.
No.
Like, yes, I built my own website and it worked for a while, but as the business grew, the website got funky and like just wasn't as functional as it could be for the type of growth that I wanted. And so, I had to spend some money to do that. And I actually, if we can touch on that for a second, because I just want to point out that those are numbers as someone who doesn't have a hydrofacial. I don't have a hydrofacial. I have one expensive piece of equipment, and that is my skin pen.
Yeah.
And that was about $5,000, $5,000 to $6,000. I can't remember, somewhere in that range.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't have fancy things. This is all with, I'm doing treatments that cost me maybe $6, $7 to perform.
Yep.
So you can grow without having the fancy things. It's really hard for me to watch so many estheticians spend so much money on equipment.
I know.
It's really painful to watch because I bought and it wasn't that expensive. It was a few $1,000s, like a hydro machine. It's fine. It doesn't make me the money that my other treatments do. No. Like, it has a little higher overhead, not crazy like hydrofacial, but you do not need all of those things. I don't care. Like, get off Instagram and stop watching what other estheticians are doing. I looked at, for instance, like another really popular device that's out there, and I couldn't justify it. I couldn't justify the cost for it. And I'm just like, it looks nice, but like nothing is broken in my business. My clients aren't asking for it. They're not coming in and being like, oh, you don't have that.
Right. Yeah, I remember the same, and I'm not at all putting down DMK because I know people love DMK, but I remember when I was still in San Diego in the treatment room, and I was like, I feel like I should bring on DMK. Everyone's talking about DMK, but nobody was asking for something different. No one was like, hey, I want something this. And I was like, I'm going to have to try to sell my clients why to do this over, like, it's going to be such a confusing message.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to feel like I'm selling, not to say that, again, if you want to incorporate DMK, do it. Like, I'm not saying don't do that because people can do it and are very successful.
Sure.
But don't do it just because other people are doing it.
Yeah. And then like, I would say explore why you feel like you're lacking.
Yes.
Like, why do you feel that way? What's making you feel that way? If you want to incorporate something different, it has to make sense like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like spending money on things that don't make sense. I have brought in like a lot of different products, but the products that I have brought in have filled in a hole. So like, for instance, like I brought in Noon, which is a really like hefty line. I would compare it to like a Zio in terms of like intensity.
Okay.
But I brought those products in because I had clients that needed more from me. And I didn't bring in the whole line. I brought in like 5 products.
Yep.
And that made sense. You know, over time, I've even like lessened what didn't make sense or what I was like, I'm not seeing a big enough difference. And I've just capped, like right now, I think I probably brought in like 8 products to begin with. And now I think I offer 4 of those.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Rococo, I just recently brought in. I really needed products that were more nourishing for some clients, and it's super acne safe. Like, so everything that I brought, again, didn't bring in the whole line, brought in maybe 5 products, 6 products. Right. It needs to make sense.
You just sit down and as
a just fun. Like, go read a book or go like, you know, if you want to have fun, like, I don't know, go shop Sephora for a minute, but like not at the expense of your business. Just be so mindful of like how much things cost. Don't go into debt over things. I can proudly say like I've never gone into debt over things. Like and not to shade like anybody who does, like if that's how you need to start your business, that's okay. But don't go into like excess debt.
And I think estheticians want to make money. And so like, well, if I buy this device or this whole new line, I can make money, which is not, it's not untrue. It's totally true. But if you don't have the confidence and the know-how to sell it, it's just going to be sitting there.
Or the clients.
Yeah, if you don't have the clients, you can have the most incredible whatever, and it doesn't go anywhere. But it's really that confidence of being able to talk to people, market it, and be like, this is going to work for you, and this is how it's going to work for you. If you don't have any of that, you're just sitting on expensive stuff.
Yep. And it goes, you know, especially like products, it'll go bad. Like it'll rot in your back bar, you know, over time. So and yes, have the clients to justify that, I think is the biggest thing. But I think when you're new out of school, it's easy to feel inadequate and feel like my skill set isn't there. So if I buy these things, it'll make me look more appealing. But at the end of the day, like, the clients are not, and I don't care about like I know I'm picking on hydrofacial. I just got a hydrofacial the other day. I like the treatment. So no shade to the product. I'm just saying like, it's the easiest explanation of a really expensive piece of equipment.
Yes.
But your clients, I know like, yes, hydrofacial markets really well, but like my clients come in and say they want a hydrofacial. They're getting a hydrofacial from a cheaper machine and they're getting the same results, in my opinion, or better in some cases, because I'm spending more time and I don't have this crazy overhead. So I can maybe enzyme them a little bit before to get a little more exfoliation or whatever. So, you know, if your clients aren't asking for it. Yeah. My clients, the only reason even now I'm even bitter about like my hydrofacial machine, because the girl that I shared a room with had one, not a hydrofacial. She had like a hydro thing. And so she was like, yeah, use it. It's part of the room. And so I had clients already booked for it. And so when I left, there were clients who really still wanted to book that treatment. So I was like, all right, fine, I bring it on. But if I didn't have that, I would have never brought it on. I give a way better facial. Yeah. Like a custom facial. I give a way better custom facial than my hydrofacial machine does.
Yes. And again, so I think the themes of your story is you have persistence. You make good business decisions by looking at the numbers and what's your client focused.
Yes.
Doing what the clients are asking for. So yes, you got the machine because your clients were asking for it, not because you're like, this is the next best thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's hard. That's easier said than done. It's hard to not feel tempted by those things.
It's so hard.
It happens all the time. And even like, I mean, I have people who I know who get a new line and then they're like, oh my gosh, I brought it in too early and it was awful. I was like, yeah, I've been there. I did
Yeah.
that. It was costly.
Yeah, it sucks. I've done that too.
Saying you might do it. You may very well could do it. And again, that's part of those failures that are just part of running a business, but try to mitigate how many failures you have by
And learn from it. Yeah. Make it be like, what was the thought process behind this? And not in a shameful way, in a curious way. And be like, okay, so I'm just going to know that if I ever have this thought again, I'm going to have to like pause before I take, like, that's really that coaching yourself, being aware of yourself mentally and everything like that.
Spend the money if you don't have clients, especially spend the money on marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Like go do some Google ads or go do, boost some posts or something like that's a better spend and a better ROI than that hydrofacial or that expensive, piece of equipment's ever going to be.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Okay. I know we're over our time. I don't want to keep you for longer.
Oh, that's okay.
Any last thoughts that you want to say, things that we didn't talk about that you wanted to touch on?
I don't know. I don't know if there's anything specific other than I would just say, like, the biggest thing to just maybe take away from this is like, know that your worth isn't based on like what you have in the treatment room. Know that like it takes time to grow. Be okay with that. Don't get discouraged so easily. Focus on good work. Focus on, because at the end of the day, you can say, oh, like, CC Skin has a good, Instagram or whatever. Like there's good posts, there's good this, but like, that's not what I want to be known for. I want to be known because I put out really good work and because I do a great job at clearing acne clients. Like that is what I want to be known for. And if your goal is to be known to be an influencer, you're probably not in the right business because we're not influencers. Do we have characteristics like influencers? Sure. But we're not. I'm an esthetician. I'm a acne specialist. I am I'm in the treatment room. Like that is where my worth is I feel like that is where I get my ego fed, is there. Not because I got more likes on something. My ego gets fed by going, oh my gosh, I cleared her so fast. Or, oh my gosh, that was the right call. I got her regimen right and she's doing beautifully. Like that is where my ego gets fed. And so just check yourself occasionally and make sure that you're not doing it for the wrong reason.
Yeah. And I think another thing that I really love about watching you grow is, when I met you, you never in a million years, I think, imagined you can make this much money.
Oh no, I thought if I could make 200, I'd be like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I can pay for like our family to go on an extra vacation. Like that was the goal.
And you've done it and you will continue to make more money. And really the reason that you're making money is because you're impacting people's lives.
Exactly. And that is the goal. Like that's the goal of the business.
You've never lost focus of that.
No. Sometimes I have. Sometimes I've gotten a little like I veered a little bit and then I have to reevaluate a little bit and go like, was that the right thing? Okay, but that's again, that goes back to like, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to take a left turn when you should have taken a right turn and you just recalibrate and move on.
Exactly. Like, yes, you're a Face Reality ambassador. Yes, you have a podcast. Yes, people give, I think when I looked, you had 11,000 followers on Instagram or something crazy. But the reason that you're successful is because you focus on getting your clients results. You focus on what they need from you, and that's what you do. If everything else is great and extra, but that's not why you're here.
Yeah, I think I say too, like my Instagram I could fall off of Instagram and never be on there ever again. And I would still at this point do well because I have enough referrals coming in. I've established enough of a healthy business that Instagram does not dictate necessarily like, I mean, I might get like slower amount of clients coming in, but I'm still there. I still have Google reviews. I still have presence outside of social media. So it can't be everything. And so don't put too much weight into it, but put enough to, especially at the beginning, it can be your leverage or your your springboard or whatever you want to call it to help you. But it doesn't have to be everything forever. So just put the time in and grow, and then hopefully have a healthy business from it afterwards.
I love it. And I think, you know, you mentally were very motivated and wanting to do it. And I think, you know, not to like say, oh, like what a great job I did, but I think you invested in coaching when you started, and that coaching like really helped get your mind focused on what to focus on versus not.
Yeah. Mindset is everything. And I think that was the coaching, you know, win for me was I was able to redefine kind of what my focus was. And then I kind of went from there. So yeah, I mean, and that I think is the one thing I would say, like, if you feel like you're struggling with like the mentality part, sometimes coaching does help. There's a lot of, you know, obviously I'm going to plug Brittany because she was my coach. She's the only coaching I've ever done. I've never taken any of these other, you know, big courses that you see. But it's okay to spend money on coaching. Like, you know, there's things to spend money on and things not to. I would say education, and not too much education. Sometimes there's too much stuff, and it's like, you know, if you don't feel confident in like skin, like take something to refresh your mind, whatever. But like coaching can be helpful. Just make sure that when you do look for a coach, that I would say one-on-one is great. We had a really small group though, so that worked really well. But just, you know, choose your coach wisely is what I would say.
Yeah. And because mindset is half the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it keeps you healthy and keeps your brain healthy, and, you know, so that you can show up for your clients.
Yep, for sure.
And you also, one last thing I think is also really important for you, because you have 3 kids, you have a life, like your business is not your entire life.
No, it's such a small, that's why I always say when people like think they know me from Instagram, I'm like, oh my gosh, guys, that's like such a small portion of my life. Yeah, it really isn't. It's, you know, it's a very small portion of my life, my business. And that is a small portion. And sometimes I forget, like my clients don't know much about me because I mean, if you're in the clinic with me and you sit down, I obviously like openly talk about my family pretty openly, but like from social media, I don't really share a whole lot. And that's not because, again, it goes back to, I'm not an influencer. I'm not a lifestyle influencer. I'm a business. And so, yeah, you'll get peaks of my life, but like, I choose very wisely, like what I feel comfortable sharing and what I don't. And that's because I have another life and it doesn't have to be on Instagram.
Yeah. This is what you do. This is not who you are.
This is what I do. This is not who I am. Yes. I love that. Thank you for saying that. That's a really good, actually, for me to keep in mind too. I love that.
Just give me a little extra coaching.
I love it. Free coaching session with
always anything for you. Thank you so much. I know your time is valuable. I mean, everyone's time is valuable. When I asked you to come on the podcast for an update, I was like, I know you're so busy, so it's okay if you can't.
I was so excited. Like when you asked, I was like, I would love to. And honestly, right now, like I said, I am busy, but I take the time off. And in fact, I took today off because I knew I was doing this like flash sale, and I was like, I've got to pack a million orders. So I'm going to take the Thursday off because normally I work Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I'm like, we're not working today. And that's the great thing, is I don't have to worry about it. I'm like, I don't know, it's fine.
You're making enough money. It's
fine.
I
can take it off. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for being here. You're my star.
You're so funny.
Hey, if you like this podcast, please rate and review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to. I cannot tell you how much that helps my podcast grow. So you can click 5 stars if you like it and you want to give me 5 stars. And please leave a review about telling me why you like it so that I can help other estheticians grow their business. Thank you so much.